Hey, here. bother me at all. I did their hair. I did, whatever I needed to do. I don't, I didn't, I ain't mind rolling up my sleeve and getting my hands dirty with it, So I'm not scared or anything like that. And helping people is something I've always enjoyed doing.
Yes, she has. Knowing her from day one, she has. That's what I was telling my husband the other night about Kim. I said, Kim has always, even from meeting her in 1995, when I first moved to Palestine with my ex, she's always helped people. She always had a carload of kids. I'm like, how'd she deal with all the kids? Like, she would have them packed down knee deep. I'm like,
youth director too.
Yes, absolutely. Because my girls were in the choir, and I'm like, come by here. Of course, I was working at in the system at the penitentiary, there in Cofield, and I would have to work, and she'd be going by and getting my kids. And I'm like, wake them up, they sleep. She'd get them up, get in this car, But she's always been one to, always want to help people, regardless. So you can be grateful for her. I'm grateful for her.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you guys too, because y'all made it so easy. And coming from a small community where you're grateful when people trust you or entrust you, and and you don't take that lightly. I know I don't take it lightly when people trust me with their children, or they trust me with their business. So when someone calls me and asks me about insurance, I give them the best information and all the information that I can, whether they buy from me or they buy from somebody else. I want to make sure that they have all the knowledge they can get from me so that they can make a great decision for themselves. You know what I'm saying? I want you to and that's what we're here for. Whether you buy insurance from us or not, we want to make sure that the community has the right information, that you guys have all the information that you need to make the right decision for you and for your family. What's in you guys' best interest?
Right.
We want to make sure. So I'm so glad to have the Pryor family on the show with us tonight. These are wholesome, awesome people. I'm not saying that because I love them to death. I'm saying that because I have watched how they've loved on families. I've heard how you guys do such an awesome job taking care of your clients, and how beautiful they look, and how professional. You guys are above and beyond doing such a professional job. And I just want to commend you guys on that. Chuck, I want to commend you and Almika for that. You guys are so awesome. Y'all are professional, whether it's at the funeral home or whether it's not at the funeral home. Anytime we see you guys out and about, you guys have the same mannerism. And I love that. I love that. I love that about you guys.
Be ourselves. Be ourselves.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. So let me ask this. Chuck, I want to direct this question to you. When it comes to insuring your family, how does that play a role in your family life? When it comes to covering your family, can you share some of your experiences with us when it comes to having life insurance for your family?
Well, let me say this right here. This right here.
Yeah.
And that in there.
Yeah.
12-year-old kid.
Yes.
That's my family.
EJ. Yes.
Right.
They have an awesome, handsome son named EJ, you guys.
And
sweet kids.
I think that most people don't get what I'm about to say. But for me, I was recently in a car accident a little over a year and a half ago.
Right.
But before I get a little bit more detail, but just what if I had died? What if I had got killed in a car wreck?
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You need to have life insurance. And one of the things for me is she knows she's not worried that if I had got killed in that car accident, my income for the next 20 years will take care of her without me there.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Absolutely.
And the reason being, he's 12 years old.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense.
Be 10 years before he be 22.
True.
So we got another 2 more years to go to college, so we're looking at 12.
Right.
Got it?
Right.
So that's going to help her get him through college and get him going, and then 10 on her own getting back on her feet. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what you call looking out.
So men, especially women, men if possible, you need to have coverage. Say if you make $50,000 a year, you need to multiply that times 20 or whatever number that you want. Me, I did it because of my son's age,
Right.
to make sure that if my income is lost, her life might not get no better, but it ain't gonna get no worse.
Hello.
Okay.
I love
And
that.
a lot of people think $100,000, that's not a lot of money.
It's,
It'll be gone
it's
in
not.
a year. easy.
Yes, that's right.
And,
Very easy.
So the cost of living goes up every single year. So when you lose a loved one, especially a partner, especially a husband or a wife, also you got loss of income.
Right.
And then your expenses is going to skyrocket. And these are the things that a lot of people don't think about.
Right.
Right.
Now, the flip side of my car wreck is that I want to go into an additional type of coverage.
Okay.
You need
Help us out.
You need what you call disability insurance. In the
Okay.
event if you can't work, you still gotta have it.
Right.
Right.
You got money is lost. These
Right.
jobs now, they're not gonna pay you.
They sure are.
That's
They're
right.
not gonna pay you.
That
They
is
definitely are
They're gonna
not.
keep you on contract and keep it that way.
That's right.
So, and then also a small business like us, I didn't have workman's comp, so I didn't get paid while I was out for a whole year.
Ouch.
Oh.
Okay.
Ouch.
And I'm so angry at myself, and I'm gonna try to calm down now.
So,
I've always had disability or something like Aflac or something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And how it slipped through the rack, I didn't have it. So I depleted my savings to live till I could get back on my feet. So I was very angry that I put my family at risk in that area and myself. Okay.
Wow.
So these are the things that you have to think about. You got people care about you. If you care about your family, get whatever you can afford, make it happen. And
Awesome.
if we can afford these cell phones, you can afford insurance.
Absolutely.
Come on now.
Yes.
If you can afford to go to the grocery store,
Absolutely.
go to I call it these gas stations,
Yeah.
where it's super expensive, where you buy a bag of chips.
Yeah, the little
and some
convenience.
soda pop.
Neighborhood
Convenience
convenience
store.
store. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't go in there, but you spend $10. Come on, now,
Yeah, you do.
get some coverage,
Right.
because don't leave your people a bill.
Mhm.
They love you, but don't leave them a bill.
What should we leave him? We don't leave him a bill.
leave my will.
Hey!
Leave my will.
She come right in on cue.
And I tell you what.
And you gotta leave them some money.
Yes.
Yeah.
You gotta have money to bury your light bill, water bill, gas bill, all food bill, everything go up for that whole
That's
life.
right.
Still goes on.
Life
You know,
still
Life
goes
still
on.
goes on.
Speaking of last Friday, we were on our way here and I almost got into a major car
Sure
accident.
Yes.
I thank God that I was quick
Mhm.
to hit my brake. I probably broke my leg, but thank God I didn't. But just to think that even if that had happened and I had not been here,
Yeah.
my family, my husband would have been very well taken care of because I've covered myself,
Yeah.
as well as having, adult children. I've made sure that they cover themselves. Because what's to say that I may leave before they leave, but they need to be covered where they don't have to put a burden on each other,
Right,
or their dad or whomever.
Right.
But it's just I tell people all the time, you can spend $30 and get a policy.
That's right.
Something, just
Get
something.
something.
It doesn't have to be $100,000, but get
Right.
something where your family doesn't have to struggle to try and make sure that you're put away properly by giving, barbecues or starting GoFundMe. So that's something that I always stress and tell people, especially these young people.
Yes.
I was at the car wash and young guy drove up in a Ferrari. And I was like, he was zooming. And I walked over to him. I was looking at him and another young guy. And I walked over to him and I said, I bet you got this car insured, but do you have life insurance? And he started laughing. I said, no, I'm serious. And he was like, no. I said, here's my card. Give me your number so I can call you. And I said, this is your dad's car, your parents? He'll know it's mine. I said, I know you drive fast then.
Mhm.
But it's just the little things that they out there showing off. And I always say to young people, your parents may be in a bind financially. You're out here working, having your own jobs and making your way. Buy a policy.
That's right.
Don't depend on that job.
That's
Get
right.
your own
Because it's going to be
policy.
gone.
Don't
That's
depend
right.
on that job. Get your own policy.
Jobs come and go.
Right.
People change careers,
Right.
especially I would say around my age group.
Yeah.
We people are doing good, getting educations, whatever. They have good jobs, and so I hear that a lot. Oh, I
Yeah.
got coverage on my job. I got
I hear that
policy
too.
through my job. But we have sat down with so many people who within less than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they have started a new job. And those
Insurance
benefits, we did
gone.
not cover them because they were not on the job long enough. I know I resigned, and when I decided to leave education and do the funeral business full time, that was one thing I was so thankful that when you leave a job, you leave all those benefits. Besides your retirement, you get to keep your retirement.
Right.
But all the other insurance and benefits, had on my husband, had on, and through education, it's cheap. It was cheap to me.
Okay.
However, when I left, guess what? That went away. But I'm so glad we had insurance outside of the job.
Wow.
It made a huge difference.
Wow.
It gave me a peace of mind because I was already, that was the one thing I was worried about, losing my benefits, like healthcare, dental, vision,
Right.
I had this mindset that it was going to be expensive being an entrepreneur or business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God for the what's that? The marketplace. It's saved the day.
Yes, it's saved the day.
I must
Absolutely.
encourage people to get something outside their job. And then the other thing I'm seeing now that I'm getting older, and I look at my parents, recently lost my mom. I see an importance of my generation stepping up to make sure that your parents also have the coverage.
Yes.
And they're taking care of it. If not, do it yourself.
Yes.
Make sure mom, dad
Yeah.
has the proper coverage.
Absolutely. My aunt that raised me, I call her my mom. Whenever I had to put her in the nursing home because she ended up having dementia really, really bad. She had sundowners. And because of how my husband and I worked and we had children in the house, we weren't able to properly take care of her and watch her 24/7. So as we were getting her business in order and I was making sure that her bills were still being paid and everything, well, a lot of times they ask for you to verify some of the information that they have in order for certain coverages to happen, like with Medicare and stuff like that. So I knew she had insurance. She's always had insurance my whole entire life. Well, come to find out when I got her declaration page and happened to look at it, come to find out it wasn't life insurance. It was accidental.
Oh, wow.
It
was accidental.
And they thinking they have
She thought she had life insurance. And when they get older, sometimes you don't recognize the fact that your loved ones may have dementia or Alzheimer's, and you may not pay attention to some of the signs in the very beginning, and they lose sight on reading paper. They take whatever somebody says and just run with it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of reading for themselves. So here she was thinking she had been paying on a life insurance policy that whole time, and it was accidental. So I was able at her age to get her a pre-need. So you can get some type of coverage if you can't get whole life, term life, or a UIL. Depending on their age and their health issues, you can always get a pre-need if that funeral home of your choice uses or will accept pre-needs. So I was able to get that for her so that she'll have some coverage, because now here it is late in the day. We can't get that money back. It's sad to say, but you can't get that money back, and time has passed on. And certain health issues are coverable. They won't cover. And if they're already in a nursing home, then you're not going to be able to get life insurance on an individual who has already been committed to a nursing home facility. So they will not cover them. So you can always still get a pre-need for them. So I was able to get that for her and get it paid for. So she has some coverage to take care of herself. So we can take care of her when that time comes. So,
and that's kind of like some people don't understand that when you have a loved one of your loved ones is incarcerated, also you cannot go in and decide that you want to get a policy on them.
No,
that I have that question a lot,
right?
Like, but they're not aware that that can't happen.
Right.
So if you have kids that are out there that may be not living on the way you think they should,
Yeah.
she'll get a policy
Amen.
I agree.
on them. I
I
mean,
agree,
it's
Joyce,
not
you're
trying to
right.
be mean to say
No,
that, but
no.
it's true.
No, it's not. I mean,
It's
we,
true.
this is real talk.
because
We real
because
talking now. We real talking
because
now.
you know we have parents out there, and I have it in my side of the family that kids don't always doing the right things that you think that they should be. Of course, they'll tell you they're doing one thing and doing something totally different.
Right.
And that's why, again, it's important that we ensure that we have our kids covered. And I tell, I tell a lot of the grandparents now that we have a policy through one of our carriers that grandparents now can go out and get a policy on their grandkids without having a social. You can just go. You don't have to have the parents' permission. As long as you have the grandchild's name and date of birth, you're good. And because we have, I had a client that wanted insurance just on his grandkids because his daughter wasn't living her life right. And I got $25,000 coverage for $10 a month on each kid.
Thank God for grandparents.
Yeah.
But it's just we
And
think about
the
that.
younger they are, the cheaper it is.
Yes,
That's right.
absolutely. And they were like
So
6,
I
7,
tell
somewhere in there.
anyone, You got some
Yes.
young kids, that's right. Get them insured now.
Absolutely.
You can get it sometimes for as low as $5, and as you say, $10. It's really, really affordable.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
And
yes.
let me say this too. I'm a numbers guy. I just gifted with numbers.
Okay.
I don't care how much you pay in insurance. When they pay off, you still going to win.
Yes, sir. You are.
Do the numbers.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna win. So you gotta stay with it.
That's right. Absolutely.
And you can't beat that with money in the bank.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely.
And also those of you between the age of 18 and 25, those are the chance that you probably will lose your life.
Yes.
So I highly recommend that you get your house in order.
That's right. That's right. Not too long ago in Palestine, we were devastated by the loss of 3 young children that died in a car wreck. In this car wreck happened the day after they graduated. It was 6 girls in the car. 3 of them got burned up and died in that car wreck. Out celebrating graduation. And those are the times, graduation, prom, stuff like that, where kids are having fun.
Yeah.
And they're doing some stuff that they normally don't do in celebration, trying to be grown. We've all been there, done that. And for a lot of us, it's been by the grace of God that we're okay and that we made it through. But there is still a percentage of young people that don't make it through.
Right. And he said the 18 years to 25.
Yeah.
And I'm an example of that. My 2 daughters, my older daughter graduated high school and decided she was going to get her own apartment, going to U of H. And she got in her car, came home to pick up her younger sister. They were going to go get something to eat, and they were going to go back to her apartment and watch movies. On the way to get something to eat, someone ran a red light. And I tell you, when I got that phone call and the lady asked me, was I Catherine's mother? And I said, yes. And she said, well, she's been in an accident. She's fine. And I said, what about my other daughter, Erin? And she kept saying, Catherine's fine. Can you imagine as a mother how my heart felt? Because I'm asking about another child and she's telling me the one is okay. So when we got to the accident, they both were there, but the paramedics said to me, because the car they did a 360. He said, I don't even know how they survived this. I said, by the grace of God. And yes, 18, like you say, 18 years old, they weren't even far from the house.
That's usually what they say.
Not far from the house. And I tell you, and like you say, anything can happen.
Right.
It doesn't even have to be your fault. It's people not paying attention while you're driving. It's these little kids being in the back seat of a car, not buckled down.
Right.
Right. Playing or jumping around and making up the noises and stuff like that. My grandkids coming over there with me. I'm like, you better sit down, buckle up, and be quiet. Grandma, can we listen to the kids bop? No, we're not. We ain't listening to nothing but with Grandma, because Grandma got the cargo today.
Yeah.
Because I feel responsible, and I am responsible.
That's right.
Right. So some of you guys that are just tuning in on Real Talk Radio, hey Denise, we miss you today. Denise is on vacation. She's normally co-hosting with us. Glad to see that you are on here with us. by text. For some of you guys that may have just tuned in to Real Talk Radio, where we're talking coverage over cocktails, we have a special guest with us, which is Chuck and Almika Pryor. They are the owners of Pryority Funeral Home Experience here in Houston, Texas. Tap that screen if you have any questions related to burial benefits or getting coverage of any kind of questions you guys may have, even for Joyce and myself as insurance agents about coverage. Please ask us right now, or you can also call in. The number that you can call in to ask questions is 832-560-2885. I want to give a shout out to some of our good friends in Palestine and in the surrounding areas that are also on my live feed. Andrea Davis, hey Andrea, to our girl Veronica, who is normally on here on the panel with us, who wasn't able to make it tonight. Veronica, big shout out to you. Shout out to Rosalind Jones. Shout out to Felicia and Ricky Johnson. Hey, Pastor Ricky and Pastor Felicia. Shout out to my girl Crystal Lipscomb. Glad to see you. Shout out to Miss Paula Whitfield. We want to thank you guys for getting on here with us. Shout out to Jack Benny. Listen, we are so glad that you guys joined us on tonight.
Absolutely.
And we are praying that you glad that you're here too, Andrea. We hope that you guys can learn some things that you may be able to share with your friends and family as well, and some news that you can use as well for yourself. So again, we're talking about coverage over cocktails, and we're with the Pryor family with Priority Funeral Experience. I want to talk to you guys about. And I'm pretty sure you guys have ran into a lot of times where you have families that come into the funeral home, they have a sudden death, and they have no insurance at all. So how do you guys treat that? Can you share with us experiences with those kind of families or those kind of situations?
So those situations do come, and they come quite frequently.
Okay.
So there are people here that are
Wow.
not covered.
Wow.
I just want to point that out.
Wow.
There are a couple of options. Some of them, a lot of times our community now, there's a trend of going more towards cremation because cremation is
Okay.
more affordable.
Okay.
So there's always a gatekeeper in the family. That one person you can go to, call up, and see about taking out a loan or borrowing money. There's also companies out there that strictly loan money for funerals. One of them being USA Lending, and they strictly lend money for funeral service.
Oh, wow.
What is the company?
USA Lending.
USA Lending. Okay.
And that's
Go
all
to our
they do.
website or something.
Okay.
And that's all. One of the main things they do is
Okay.
loan
That's
money
all
for
they do.
funerals.
Okay.
However, you do have to. There's a soft credit check, so you still gotta have good credit.
Good
So
credit.
you gotta have
With
some good
that.
credit.
Don't have to have fabulous credit, but you have to have
Some
good
good
credit.
credit,
You can
okay.
pay loan anywhere from like 1,000 to like 20.
20,000. Some gotten up to $9,000, $10,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
For funeral service. So
That's
that's
how we know
another
people don't
option.
know.
Okay.
Of course, here in Harris County, we have absolutely nothing. They do have like the Harris County bereavement that you have to basically get approved from. It's kind of like the county bureau.
Gotcha.
And so when that happens, you don't really get any say so.
Gotcha.
It's just they'll see to them having a decent burial or
Okay.
see them having a decent cremation.
Gotcha.
And the other things, people call all the time asking about a payment plan. But unfortunately for us, we're unable to do the payment plan because we were left holding the bag for so long. Right?
Because once they're around,
you got to balance at the funeral home and your light bill needs to be paid. Which one you think they're going to do?
Right.
I know I would.
on the back burner. So,
Right.
I would pay the light bill.
a lot of us didn't do right with the payment plan.
Right. You burn that bridge.
Yeah, so we can't finance funerals, unfortunately. But of course, people just try to raise the money. So those are a couple options. Mr. Pryor, you want to add on to that?
No,
Did I
you,
cover it?
you covered it all.
Okay,
It's a vote.
have you guys ever had an family come in and they have a GoFundMe that they said that they're going to use the GoFundMe to finance a funeral? What is your experience with that?
I'll be honest with you. That's one of those things. GoFundMe. You know, the funeral homes is like, because actually they're raising the money.
Right.
It's a platform that they're charging off a fee. They're gonna.
People don't know that.
Yes, they're losing a percentage of that money, and then it's not gonna come immediately. Usually, you know, we like to have funerals on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
We pass one and within a week. We're trying to have it that coming Saturday.
Right.
Wednesday.
That's
we still
right.
want to have it on the Saturday or following Saturday.
That's
And a lot
right.
of times it's not in time enough. So that sometimes it can be, you know, we know family situations. So we try to, you know, work with them according to the situation. Not saying we're not going to take it, but however, we got to plan accordingly. So we can't have this funeral immediately if you're waiting on this money to come from the GoFundMe. A lot of times and that's one of the things people are quick to do is make a GoFundMe.
Right.
However, there are like free platforms now because there's a need. Funeral homes now can set up these crowd raising funds where it can be directly, because a lot of people are also worried about where the money going? Is it going to be
right?
It can go directly to the towards the service if that's what the donator wants to take place. It can go directly to the funeral home for that service. And you know, funeral homes have platforms where they're keeping up who donated how much.
Right.
And then of course, after everything is taken care of, any overage is going directly to the family.
Or we can cut it out once the bill is paid.
Once the bill can be turned out.
Okay. Chuck, let me ask you this. What would you say to the families who believe that because their loved one was in the military, that the military is going to pay for the burial of their loved one? My loved one was in the army. He was in the army. He served the country.
My grandfather
He's
did
supposed
too.
to get some kind of burial benefits because they served the country.
Well, we have 2 veterans tomorrow. Okay, we have one of my good friend, Mr. Pastor Hennessy's brother, Jimmy Hennessy is going to be buried in Gainesville, Texas tomorrow.
Okay, Andrea, 1 second.
And then the other one I have tomorrow here in Houston, but he's going to be buried in the southeastern Louisiana Veteran Cemetery. The only thing that the government is going to give you from the VA is, and you have to have an honorable discharge, okay?
Okay.
You're going to get a flag, and they'll come out and blow the taps and fold the flag for you and make you feel good, okay? You're going to get a headstone, okay? And you're going to get a burial plot in a veteran cemetery. And understand that 2 types of veteran cemetery. You got state-owned and you got a national-owned. Here in Houston, we have a national, okay? So here in the national, the spouse can be buried free, okay? In a state cemetery, the spouse cannot be buried free, but she can be buried there, but you have to pay.
Gotcha.
Okay, a lot of people don't know that.
Gotcha.
And then also, as far as finance, it all depends on the type of status you have. If you was a DAV, we 70, 80, 90%, you know, those veterans that got injured in the, in war. If you, sometimes they can get a percentage, no more than $2,000 if it was service connected. Got it?
Okay.
If it was service connected only.
So if they died in active duty,
Right.
basically.
Right.
Okay.
And now, but you still got to pay.
Still gotta pay.
You got to pay the funeral home. They'll get him there, and after that, our services have to be paid for.
Gotcha.
I
I want to chime in too. Also, for those that do not choose to utilize the burial plot for, like we buried at one of the national cemeteries,
Yeah.
then those people will be able to apply for that benefit. Usually, it's only like about $700.
Yep.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you do not, if they're a veteran, an honorable discharged veteran,
Okay.
if they do not choose to be buried in the national cemetery, then they can still apply for like $700, and they can also still get that headstone. So the headstone can go to like the private
Cemetery.
Mhm.
So
You in
that's
the country, not here in the city. but
Gotcha.
yeah, that's what happened with my grandfather. He was buried in the corner in the country there.
Mhm.
He actually passed away while he was in Tacoma, Washington. He was military, honorable discharge, and all that. So his body was brought back to Miss Johnson. I don't know how does that work? Does the military pay for that, or
No,
did
you
my
pay
mom,
for that.
my mom paid for that?
Mhm.
Okay, so because he got the
in
head,
service?
he was in the army.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was it active
Was it
duty?
active duty?
No,
then?
No, she paid
she
for
paid.
it.
She paid for. I was just trying to figure out how the money went.
Yeah.
Now,
I was-
those
I
are
was
like
young.
while they were
I was
on the war and stuff. Yeah, they take care of everything.
If they was active duty in the war.
No, he wasn't at the moment. But he did get the headstone, and she did get which I have the flag now. I was given the flag because I was actually getting ready to go to school there in Tacoma, and they gave me the flag. So I still have the flag, but I always wondered about because she buried him in a private cemetery, and I remember them flying him back and all that. But I guess my thing is was the question about does the military pay for that transport back to the hometown?
I'm not sure about
No,
the transport.
no, they
but
won't.
like the funeral service that they wouldn't unless he, like I say, was in active.
No, they
He wasn't active
no, he
duty.
wasn't.
Now, remember this, because we do this a lot. Like, okay, your dad is buried in a private cemetery,
Mhm.
okay? Mom could still be buried in a veteran cemetery.
It was my grandfather. My grandfather.
Your grandfather's
yeah.
wife.
Yeah, my grandmother wasn't buried there. My grandfather was not buried in a veterans.
Mhm.
No, nor was my grandmother. So that was the question. I never knew if my mom just didn't want them there or her dad because she's
Well,
the only child.
sometimes people don't know.
And she probably just didn't. We were
Mm.
young too.
And you got
kids,
some people
so.
that just don't want to. They want to go back home. They
Right,
want to be
right.
Like the
they
one-
raise
like-
the rest of the family.
Right, like
Right,
the one
yeah.
we taking to Gainesville, he didn't want to be buried. And they can go to any veteran cemetery. He want to be buried at home. He purchased his own plot, and they buried him tomorrow at home next to his mom.
I was always curious about that because I was like still in high school at the time. So I was just always have been a curiosity of mine as to how that actually worked.
Mhm.
You know, why would she not bury him in the military
Yeah.
Some
cemetery?
families just
You
don't.
know, and then my grandmother, of course, too. She wasn't. So I guess it's just, with my mom being the only child, probably just her preference to keep them close to her.
Yeah, I know that's right. Yeah.
So Andrea Davis asked, do you guys do cremation?
Yes.
Okay. So we are here talking
And I do
tonight.
like
Our special guest is the Pryor family with the Pryority funeral experience here in Houston, Texas, giving us some information about burial coverage and funeral costs or the things that you need to know about coverage when it comes to funeral, having to deal with a death and what to expect in those type of situations. So if you have any questions for them, please hit the button and type in your comments so that we can read it to them, try to get you an answer. You can also call in at 832-560-2885. The number again is 832-560-2885. Almika, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
Go ahead, babe.
No, I just wanted to, with Miss Andrea Davis about cremation, I do just kind of want to point out, because sometimes I see people just think of cremation and that's it.
Right.
But however, cremation now can be just as lavish or, service related as far as like a funeral service. Because, you have a couple of options besides just not a direct cremation.
Right.
You have a direct cremation. You can do a viewing with a cremation. You can
Right.
do a cremation and then have a memorial service, or you can do a full-fledged funeral service
Right.
and have a cremation. So we doing a funeral service, with your loved one present, and instead of going to the cemetery, okay, then the cremation will take place. So
Right.
cremation has a couple options. It's not
Right.
just the direct, because that's what some people think.
That is so true.
So most people want closure, and really for the mind, for the actual mind, you need closure.
That's right. I agree.
You need closure, and I just think about like when my dad transitioned, the grandkids was all really close. Can you imagine if they couldn't actually process Papa gone? For their mind. See, a lot of times we be selfish, think about self.
Yeah.
And we don't think, and then sometimes a lot of us say, I don't care, or cremate me, get it over with. It might not, like, for example, it might not matter to me, but can you imagine it matters to my son?
Right. Right.
It matters to her.
Right.
You know, it could be matter. I never know who lives people I touch.
That's right.
They need that coach.
That's why I always say
And I've
heroes
seen people
were-
come up with money to do that for them.
That's true.
They need that mental closure.
Right.
You know, and
Right.
so you know, so you know, a lot of us get like that, but think about, you say you love those grandkids, giving them an opportunity to show back, to go through the proper grieving process.
Right.
You know, for them.
Yes.
And I don't care.
Absolutely.
Let's,
And that makes sense too. I really
'Cause
never
people
thought
care.
about it like that, you know, but that is something to really think about. Because people do always say, well, just cremate me. You know, and I've made that same statement before. Don't
Just
be
pay
spending a
for it,
lot of
though. Go
money.
ahead and prearrange
But
it,
then now
yeah.
you say- but like you said, you know, I have grandchildren now. Before I had grandkids, I made that same exact statement, not thinking, but since you're saying it now, it's something for me to think about how I want to be put away. I think I want my grandkids to see that last viewing, you know, because I always tell people, when my mom passed away, I'm the oldest of all the children, and I was the first one to see her when I was born, and I was the last one to see her when she went at the funeral, because I was the one that closed that casket down, and that was like you say,
It's a closure for you.
for me.
Yeah.
You know, a major closure for me, because everybody grieves a little differently.
That's right.
And having been the oldest, you always think, oh, you got to be stronger for the other kids. You got to, you know, maintain your composure. But when I got behind closed doors, it was a whole different thing, because in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I was the first one of the kids to see my mother, and now I'm having to walk from my seat to that casket and close that casket down. Ooh, that was traumatic. And my other siblings, I'm like, where y'all at? Everybody sit down. I'm like, where y'all at? You know, I'm like, I'm up here by myself. But it's traumatic, and that's something that, and even my husband has said the same thing. Babe, just, you know, just cremate me. Don't spend a lot of money. I'm like, well, we got grandkids now. It's something to really think about.
I mean, it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
But it might not matter. Like I said, it might not matter to him, but what about them?
Exactly. And I never thought about, I'm guilty of that.
The deceased.
It's
It's
for
for the
those
living.
Yeah,
That's what it
that's
is.
right. It's
It's
for the
helping
living.
them with their grief and helping them.
Because your life mattered to them.
Right.
Like I got a little granddaughter, she'll tell you, she needs $25 a day to get some scoop.
I know, I'm guilty too. I'm
You
a
know,
sucker. I know.
She comes and sit in my lap, and that's it.
That's it. We
Yeah, I
melt.
wouldn't
We
do that to
totally,
her.
we totally melt. And I'm
Yeah.
guilty of that. My daughters always say, they don't need this, they don't need that. I'm like, don't be telling me how to spend my money. When I was working for FEMA, I go on deployment, and I'll be getting, Mom, they don't need that. So I got smart. I went and got me a UPS account. And I started, because when you travel, you find different things, right?
Yeah.
I started having big old huge moving boxes of toys shipped. You know, but that's what we do as grandparents, because we just suckers like that.
You know about that.
But they're all innocent.
They are,
because
and
we're
your life
very much
mattered to
so.
them.
Yeah, absolutely. My grandbabies now, they can ask me for anything. I'm gonna get it before I get it to their mom. It's a different kind of love.
What happened
Yeah.
to you today with the granddaughter? What'd she say?
She taking care of her granddad.
No. No. He's not wearing that. I'm gonna go buy him something.
She making
That's
sure
my grandpa.
granddaddy put away.
Oh,
No. That's my granddad.
oh.
To the grandmother. Well, okay, buy me some too.
I tell you.
But
my grandkids over there,
but
like,
that's love.
they 6 years old. Grandma, can we go to Starbucks? Here, I go get my purse. Come on. What they know about Starbucks?
They know.
They know.
We going down to Starbucks. We don't care about that $5.
They know.
$6.
I have a 6-year-old, Kimmy's little boy. Every morning, they think I gotta go to the donut palace.
Yeah, she gotta go to the
And I
donut
have
shop,
to
baby.
You know, I gotta
She
go
go
to the
to donut
donut
shop.
palace every morning and get some assorted donuts. And the sad thing is, I'm there so much, you guys, till when I drive up to the window,
Then
you
you
need to,
charge
Miss Kim, you want the usual? You know, they already know what I want.
Yeah.
Kids know what color donuts to put in there and everything.
Yeah.
Because that's an everyday thing. And I fuss all the time, say, now look at here. Now, I have to pay for these donuts. You gonna eat what's here at the house. Then I find myself
Going.
to the donut palace.
Yeah, we do it.
You know, so we do that. So I have another question on here. Andrea asks, can a prepaid funeral contract be transferred to another funeral provider?
Yes, it can. Yes, it
Okay,
can.
awesome. So the answer to that question, Andrea, is yes. Then the next question is, and will the price that were frozen or guaranteed still be honored?
Yes, so it is up to the funeral home if they are able to carry out the services that's prescribed on that contract, if they're able to carry it out. Now, I have to say, we have seen some contracts that was extremely low. And it actually would have sent us into like a deficit. We go in a hole. So that's why I want to say it is the funeral home will say, hey, discretion is, hey, we can honor it at these prices. Sometimes there is where there will be addition because everything wasn't laid out on that contract. So it might was just the service side. Now you got to think about the merchandise. When we talk about merchandise, that's your programs, that's your flowers that's up here, yeah, that's your police escort, all of those cash advance items, you know, newspaper, all of that. So it just depends if that's covered. Sometimes everything isn't laid out in the contract, so sometimes you will face having to pay some additional funds. You know, people add on stuff, you know, so of course if you add on, you got to pay for it. But it just depends on what's covered in that pre-need contract.
Can I chime in a little bit?
Yes.
Now that funeral home that wrote that contract has to do it for that price.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Now a good rule of thumb or a good window or a good bar to use is that they tell you all the time on television what the national average of a funeral is. Okay. Use that number as a bar. Okay. Like now they say $9,000. Okay. Use that number when you're taking out insurance as a bar. So in the event that they did that funeral home went out of business or they didn't want to use that funeral home, chances are anybody's going to accept it because it's priced correctly.
Gotcha.
Okay, because people are in business to make a profit, and they can't keep the doors open if they don't.
That's right.
So you have to understand how things operate. But so make sure I always tell people use that as a bar, because what happened is it accumulates interest over time based on the cost of living, and basically that interest is to cover the difference in the cost of what our cost is going to be.
Gotcha.
And if it's within the national average, it's usually you losing a couple $100 is better than losing a couple thousand.
So usually that's when them funeral homes do them pre-needs and they did
$19.95,
$9.95.
So,
Gotcha.
But
that's
just do
usually
it.
when you come up in.
But do it right. Do it right for the consumer.
Sure.
That's why I say go back, be open, be honest, be transparent, because everybody's philosophy is different. But I just believe in numbers, give them the facts, and then that way because if they're doing a lot of inexpensive things today, chances are it take about 10 years they'll be out of business. And that's with anything and with anybody. You got to do it the right way.
That's right.
So when you write up, like you talked about, writing up insurance, if they get what they can afford, chances are they're going to keep it on the books.
Absolutely.
And it's going to help them if they ever need it. And because something is better than nothing.
Absolutely.
And it's really going to help them. And they, they understand the true value in it. There's value there. So do something.
I have a question. I'm fixing to kind of get maybe a little messy with some stuff here.
Come on with it. I like that. Bring it on.
I have a question. So have you guys had the experience of dealing with maybe a wife and a girlfriend where the wife may have the policy and the girlfriend thinks because she's living with him, been with him for years, that she can run some stuff?
I need a sip.
I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
She been waiting to ask that question.
I know she had. It looked like it was a burning question too. So at the end of the day,
are you listening?
I'm listening.
At the end of the day, the legal wife is still in charge.
It's still in
That's
charge.
why I tell everybody, we live in a day and time, people don't get divorced. They just move on. They just move on. That means moving on, living with somebody, moving on, dating, whatever.
She got
And at
paid.
the end of the day, the wife.
Yeah, and the reason why I say this,
The wife. The legal wife.
The legal wife.
is still
she got paid.
in charge. So I put it like this. You mentioned that the policy.
Mm-hmm.
Now the policy, you said the girlfriend.
No, the wife has the policy on the. She said she's still in
Yeah.
control.
And that,
Yeah.
And that also means the girlfriend can't even sit on the front row.
That's what I
We have ran into that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She can sit on that
My
other
cousin
front
did
row.
that.
You know.
Yeah.
Because usually we have to. I'm being honest, because it gets muddy sometimes.
You get
when
muddy,
when
real muddy up here.
somebody passes. It gets muddy sometimes. No, so everything
Y'all
ain't
better not
all.
be out there living with nobody
With
jacking.
flowers.
Get some papers.
And we don't see it on
Can I get a
social
little
media.
messy with you when you
Yeah,
finish?
going on.
We see on social media how things kind of get a little messy.
Right,
But
because
at the end of the day,
they put it
all
on
jokes
social
aside,
media.
all jokes aside, the wife, the legal wife, as long as she's still legally married, she's still in the driver's seat. She is going to be the one we have to sign. Even if somebody else want to pay the bill, the wife is still going to have to sign off on the contract. She's going to have to give approval to even accept this money.
For his bill.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the
wow.
reason why I say that, because my daddy was in such a situation like that when he passed away. I recall us going to the funeral home, and he was with a woman for over 20 years, but he was still legally married to my stepmother. And I recall the funeral home had to call her to sign off on
That's
everything.
right. That's
And I'm
right.
like, how you sitting up here doing all this? Because I'm looking like this was all new before I even got into the insurance business. I just thought it was crazy as hell, you know. And my stepmother, she and I are very close. Both of them were very close to me. And all she said was, all I request is my name is on the obituary.
The
wife, the legal wife.
Oh, the
She
legal
can do
wife.
what she wants.
Yeah, but she did. She signed off and went on about the business.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask this then. Let me get a little bit more messy.
Oh, I got some
Bring
mess
on the
for you.
mess.
Okay. Say for instance, the man dies. He has a legal wife. He's still legally married to one woman. He was living with his common law wife, girlfriend, living girlfriend. The living girlfriend has the policy on the man. Who makes the call for the funeral arrangements? Woo!
What was the question again, Kim?
Okay. Say for instance, the deceased man. He got a legal wife that he's not with, but he got a living girlfriend / common law wife. But the common law wife / girlfriend is the one that has the insurance policy on him. Who makes the decision about the funeral arrangements?
And this, I gotta point this out. And if the girlfriend has that policy, and he's still married, she needs to be listed as like a friend and not a common law wife.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Because she can't be common law.
You're right, because he got a legal wife.
wife.
So ain't no such thing. He got a legal wife.
And the policy, that insurance company, yeah, she's gonna have to be listed as a friend. So don't list girlfriends. Don't list yourself. Don't list yourself as a friend. Okay. List yourself as a friend. If not, you won't be able to collect.
Oh.
So I have to speak up.
You got
on
a
this
bunch of
one,
people to change their policy.
Oh, I got something for you when you're ready. Just let me know.
Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Mallett.
I'm gonna speak up on this one because this is probably why I get in so much trouble in my home because I'm not worth getting married to, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm just taking my time. We're gonna get there. But these kind of conversations bring a lot of meaning to my situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the kind of guy that wants my life together before I take that next step.
Okay.
Now, from the outside looking in, it looks like it's together, but I'm on the inside. I know it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I want the honeymoon. I want the vacation, the honeymoon. I want the venue of my choice. I want all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right now, I'm not able. So I get in a lot of trouble at home over this subject that y'all are talking about, the girlfriend and the wife, and because I need to go back and see if I'm actually divorced.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She said she got a divorce, but I didn't ever sign anything.
You don't have to.
So
So
these are the things, I haven't even discussed with my lady. I'm like, because that's another fight.
But it's very important.
Yes.
These are uncomfortable conversations, and that's one of the things about Let's Talk coverage over cocktails. That's what we're trying to do. We want to go ahead and have those uncomfortable conversations.
That's right.
We want you to know how to address those things because they are important. They are important. It makes for you to not have a headache and a whole bunch of drama later on. You got to know the truth. You need to know what your legal bounds are. You need to know what you're entitled to and what you're not entitled to, and what's the right way to go about doing things. So tonight on Let's Talk Coverage Over Cocktails, again, we are with Almika and Chuck Pryor of the Pryority Funeral Experience, located here in Houston, Texas. And tonight we're talking about coverage, and we're also talking about how it relates to funeral arrangements and death. Okay, if you have any questions for them or for Joyce and myself, please go ahead and put those questions in the comment. You can also call in, and that number is 832-560-2885. Again, and it's on the screen. Give us a call. Ask the questions that you may be not comfortable to ask your significant other or your family member. You can ask us, and we'll give y'all the information. We'll give you the real tea while we're talking over cocktails, okay? Again, that number is 832-560-2885. I got one more question that Andrea asked on the live feed. She says, do you get a refund if you cancel a prepaid funeral contract? Do you get a refund?
The one thing about a pre-need, she did say pre-need, right? Prepaid, pre-need.
Prepaid, pre-need.
Unlike with insurance, you won't lose your money. So, for example, if I take out a pre-need and I put it on a 5-year plan, because that's the one thing about a pre-need. You can put it on pay in full, 1 year, 3 year, 5, 7, or the most is 10 years.
That's right.
So, for example, if I take out a pre-need and I only do 5 years, but for whatever reason, I've only paid out 2, and then I stop paying, and the pre-need contract gets canceled, you don't lose your money.
You don't lose your money. So you get the money back.
It'll sit there until somebody put a claim in for it. Unlike with insurance, if I take out that $10,000 life insurance policy, then unfortunately you lose it. I pay on it for 5, 6, 7 years, and I stop paying. That's it. So that's the one thing about pre-need. You don't lose your money.
Andrea, thank you so much. Andrea says, I appreciate all the answers you have given me, and thank you so much for the answers. Thank you for everything. Andrea, thank you for chiming in and asking those questions, because lot of those, they're very great questions, because a lot of times, let me tell y'all something. This is what I was taught in school a long time ago. The only question that is dumb is the one that's not asked. So ask the questions, because 9 times out of 10, you are not the only person that's looking for that particular answer. So again, we are here with Chuck and Almika Pryor of the Pryority Funeral Experience, and we're talking about coverage and how it's related to funeral arrangements. And we're talking about the legal realms and what your boundaries are, what you can and what you can't do. They're giving us some great advice about life and about making sure that you have coverage, because they have experienced this firsthand on how important it is to have some type of coverage, whether it's burial coverage, whether it's health coverage, or disability coverage. Insurance is very important. And the same way, we've said this before, the same way you put coverage on your vehicles, same way you put coverage on your cell phones, we put coverage on the things that we hold near and dear to our heart that are important to us. So why not? It just makes simple sense to go ahead. Your life, you value your life. Put coverage on your life so that the loved ones that you claim that you love, that they are left with a will and not a bill, that they have something to live up. One of the things that Mr. Pryor brought up that is very significant and very important, and one of the things we talk to our clients about, Joyce can attest to this as well. when we sit down with the family to find out how much coverage that they need, whole life coverage that they need, so that they can be able to protect their family, if they want to make sure that their family is protected for a certain amount of years after their death. He was saying how he figured, he's a numbers person, and he figured how much they would need to live and survive for 10 years, up to 10 years after his death, because he has a young son that he knows need to be taken care of as well. So one of the things Joyce and I do when we sit with a family that wants to make sure that their family has the coverage that's going to last for a while is we figure out what kind of expenses that you have now, and what you're trying to do for later on, as well as put it up against what you're able to afford as well. That's how we come up with numbers to find out how much coverage is actually needed for a family, so that what it is that you're trying to accomplish for your family, how you're trying to protect your family, you're able to do that. So if anybody ever wants to get that kind of information, just give us a call. After the show, our personal business numbers are always up in the chat. It is also going to be up on our flyers and on our talk radio show announcement. And it has that for each and every one of us hosts and the co-host of this show, Let's Talk Coverage Over Cocktails. We'll be happy to sit down with you, go over those numbers, and let's figure out something and see what you can afford and what you're trying to do and what you can do and what you can't do. You don't want your family to be in the dark about anything. You love your family. You don't want them in the dark. You want them. You don't want them in the negative. You don't want them in the red. You want them in the black. You want to make sure that they are covered and that they are protected, and that they can go on, even if you're the head of the household and you are the main breadwinner. You want your family to be able to still be successful, not out on the streets or begging bread or anything. Once something happens to you, whether it's by accident or if you already know that you have an illness that you're going to be short-lived because of. So give us a call. We want to have those. We're able to have those tough conversations. Go ahead and put those questions in the chat. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, okay?
Kim, a couple of things that I want to urge people to do as well.
Okay.
Two things.
Okay, what is that?
One thing is, for those of you who do have a policy,
okay,
I would say yearly, check your beneficiary.
Yes.
Check your
beneficiaries. Yes.
Chuck and I just did like a review of ours, and we know we had beneficiary down. We know we did. Yeah. However, it wasn't a beneficiary down. It had him as his own beneficiary.
No.
But the company had been sold. So insurance companies sell sometimes.
Right. They switch out.
They switch out. So I also want to just encourage everyone once a year, check your beneficiaries on your policy.
Wow.
Make sure it is. And if someone has passed,
yes,
that's the other thing. Make sure you go back and update. If your beneficiary that you had down, I had my mom on a lot of stuff. You know, after my husband, I had to go back in and I had to make some changes.
Yeah.
The other thing is check your bank accounts. Make sure you have a POD on your bank account.
Okay, what's a POD?
Payable upon death.
Payable
upon death.
So that means in the event something happened to you, especially if you don't have your insurance, because a lot of people who don't have insurance, their family looks okay. Maybe they got the money in the
bank account. That's right.
When they get to the bank, ain't nobody on the account.
Wow.
So that means it's gonna have to 9 times out of 10 go to probate. If that person don't have a direct,
we got to take care of that.
Yes, if you don't have a spouse,
right.
It's probably gonna have to go. The spouse maybe be able to get it. But if you do have a payable on death, then as soon as they get that death certificate, then that beneficiary that you have on your bank account, then they can go and retrieve your money.
Gotcha.
What's the acronym one more time?
POD, payable on death.
Payable on death.
Mm-hmm.
On DEBT.
Death. No, death.
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 Payable on demise. death.
Payable on
Yes,
death.
Payable on death. Okay,
Payable when you die.
got it.
Payable when that person dies.
So yes,
That's right.
make sure you're checking those two things.
This is what we're talking about, these conversations that everybody needs to know these things, because this is new to me as well. I'm learning a lot, guys. I'm learning a lot since I've been in this business about what we're talking about tonight, because I had no idea. So if I were to pass away tonight, my son would be out there lingering.
We see a lot of
Husband
people.
can't get it, kids can't get it, or anything like
I'm
that.
glad she said that, because I know for a fact I don't have that on my camera.
I don't either.
A lot of people
I don't have that.
But we'll be
As
going
a
to
matter of fact, I
tomorrow.
didn't know anything about that.
I didn't either.
I didn't know anything about this, so I learned something new tonight too. So again, what Almika stated was, if you have a banking account, whether it's checking or savings, make sure that you have on file a POD, which is payable on death. And what that basically means is, if you die, you want to be able to have somebody that can access your account and the funds that is in your account to pay bills or whatever needs to be done. They can access those benefits without there being a fight about who can get it, or without them having to go to probate court to get the money out of the account. You don't want to have to send them through that, because that's a long, drawn out experience.
Especially when you got kids and step parents and all that.
That's
You can just, I can only imagine.
Yeah, so you want to get a POD, payable up on death. So let me ask you this, Almika. Is there a difference between?
Chime in.
Okay.
One of my good friends, Miss Kat Theus, who's also an insurance agent, she is also making statement that make sure that the beneficiaries are older than 18. That's a thank you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Kat.
That is a good point. Thank you so much.
So you want your beneficiaries.
You want to make sure your beneficiary is over 18.
If not, it'll go into a trust.
In a trust.
Until they are.
Until they turn 18.
Yes.
That's right.
Awesome.
Absolutely. That is so right.
And I also want to go back to that pre-need.
Sure.
Ms. Kat also point out, whatever your funeral home choice is, and you're thinking about doing a pre-need, pre-arrangement, go and ask for their GPL. That's always a good way to gauge, to kind of see what the cost of a funeral service at your funeral home of choice will be.
Right. And what a GPL is, a general price list.
Yeah.
And a general
acronym.
General price list. And with that general price list, it tells you how much embalming is. It'll tell you how much a cremation is. It'll give you a range of the amount of casket it's going to cost you. It's going to tell you the itemized stuff that you're going to need for a funeral arrangement, and tell you about how much they charge, so that you can that information can help gauge what you need money wise for a pre-need. Here's another thing too, another tip when it comes to pre-needs, because I write pre-needs. Make sure that you find out if the funeral home of choice takes pre-needs. All funeral homes do not take pre-needs. All funeral homes do not take pre-needs. Some that do take pre-needs may use a particular pre-need company only. They may be, it may be that they have one particular pre-need company of choice that they use. So you want to get that information as well, okay?
So, Ms. Amika, can you tell the audience that's listening where you guys are located in Houston, your physical address?
Yes, we're actually located on the north side of Houston. We're at 12025 Bama North Houston Road. On the north side.
On the north side. On the north side. Yeah. All right.
North side. There we go.
I know what Bama Road is.
Mr. and Mr.
Pryor.
No Ken to Richard. No Ken to Richard.
No Ken to Richard.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Pryor, do you want me to put the information with the pricing on it on the screen, or leave that for later when they call?
It doesn't matter. It could be later call. I want to keep the conversation going.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And they can go to the website. It's on there.
Yes.
Okay.
On our website at www.priorityfuneral.com. That's PRYORITY funeral.com.
Click merchant. All the pricing's there.
I only brought it up because Kim was talking about, you might need to know the
Right.
prices of this and that.
That's right.
And I
They're
noticed
priceless.
what GPL.
Yes.
And I
they're
noticed
priceless.
while I was doing my stalking of your page,
Okay.
y'all had it up
We
there.
had it up there.
Is it there?
Open book.
Yeah, it was there.
Everything, casket price, everything is all.
Everything was on
He
there.
says,
Thank you.
stalking of your page. It's so funny. Chuck says he's not kidding. Richard Pryor. I want to tell y'all an inside joke. So Almika and Chuck have been married for 17 years now.
Yes, we just
Is it been
yeah,
17?
17. 17
years. So whenever I first met Chuck, Almika, tell him his nickname, my nickname for Chuck.
Kurt Franklin.
I used to call him.
Kurt Franklin.
I was saying, how's Kurt Franklin? Tell Kurt Franklin I said hello. He used to remind me of Kurt Franklin. I used to be so tickled every time I saw him. He reminded me
Kurt
of
Franklin. That Kim is a mess. That Kim is a mess.
Yes, I got a nickname for everybody.
Your Kirk done slow down now.
Yeah.
I don't wear them Kirk glasses no more.
No, you
know
sure
the style
don't.
changes.
Yeah. But they
That
have
is
an
too funny.
awesome. They have awesome staff. I got awesome staff at Pryority.
We do. We got a great staff.
Y'all staff
They're
members
actually
are
family.
always so nice,
They're
so
family.
friendly, so helpful. I remember having to call to get some information, and they're always the same every time you call. They're always just very helpful, very professional, just like you guys. I always feel like when it comes to businesses, majority of the time, the workers pattern themselves after the leaders. That's the same with churches. That's the same with household. Whoever the head is, then how the head treats everybody trickles down, and that's how everybody treats one another and other people. So I just want to commend you guys on a job well done with Priority Funeral Experience, because they are just as friendly, just as helpful, and just as loving and kind as you guys are.
Can I put a shout out? Can I do something?
Please do. Go ahead.
Listen, y'all, for y'all got young kids between the ages of 18, 16, and 25, you got prom coming up. We have a party bus, okay?
Oh, yeah. That's
All right.
right. That's right.
And it will hold 8 to 13 people,
Okay.
and you can put your kids in the care of us, okay? Put them in the bus. Y'all get together, get your money together, and we can make sure they get there safely and get back home safely
Yes, Gayla,
in
all
style, okay?
So do y'all do other things, other transportation other than proms? Because we got grown folks like to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
fun
Yes,
too.
We got parties for ladies.
All right, that's
You
what
know,
I know.
and-
That's all I need to
Girl,
know.
and- girl, she can do the driving. I don't need to drive.
Girls
We
night
do
out.
divorce parties.
I hope I don't need one of them again. I mean,
Birthday parties, we do executive events, we do church events.
Really?
Anytime.
okay.
You
And
don't
I
want-
think it's on. Have you stalked that on the
Is that on,
webpage?
is
Is it
that
on
on the
there?
webpage?
What is it?
The party buzz. Have you stalked that on the
Party
webpage?
buzz.
It's not on there. So
It's on the other
It's
page.
okay. It's a 2023 Mercedes, brand new. So y'all,
Oh,
it
snap.
still smells good.
Okay.
Come on through.
So I like to go to vineyards, wine
Yeah.
tasting
Well,
vineyards and stuff.
It,
So
it knows the way there.
okay.
Casino run.
I love wine vineyards. Do you have a separate
Absolutely.
page for that?
Yes, we do. That's
Okay.
on Facebook under Kate Experiences.
Kate.
And you don't have to use our funeral home. You can use the
excuse
bus.
me.
You're welcome
Kate
to it.
Limo Bus.
Oh, Cape, C-A-P-E.
CAPE.
Kate.
Chuck and Almika Pryor Enterprises
Okay.
Limo Bus.
Hello.
Yeah, love it, love it.
K-A-P-E.
Oh, I be knowing people
C.
out.
I'm sorry. C-A-P-E.
Kate.
Yes.
Kate Limo Bus.
C-A-P-E. Kate
Got it.
Limo Bus.
You call the funeral home, you get it.
Oh, yeah. That's how we got to my Kim. What did they say the name of that bus was?
everybody, I have all the information on the screen
Thank you.
for Priority Funeral
Oh, yeah.
Experience. That's
Thank
what
you.
we're talking
You
to
guys
tonight.
out there, be it playing it safe. Like he said, prom's coming up and everything. Christmas and Thanksgiving too. So we like to have a party Thanksgiving night.
Yeah, so
Everybody dress up. Remember they have the party bus.
I don't want y'all to come see me, so let's just get in the bus, okay?
Very
We
good.
get in the bus.
Because the rates go higher during that time.
It's
Hello to
weird.
all my PV family.
It's weird.
TV.
We just moved from over there,
Mm-hmm.
and I probably passed you by 100 times,
Really?
and that didn't even know you were there. So
Thank you.
where exactly are you? We live.
It's in the shopping center.
We in the shopping center
It's in the
Yeah.
strip.
by the dollar store. We
It's
stayed right.
between Champion Forest and what's that road? Pine.
We're right at Bourgeois.
Yeah, I can't say the word bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
That's why I say the word. I know.
Before you get to these, right across from the that dealership. What's the dealership?
I'm turned around.
Dash. Is it
Dash. Not Dash Motorworks.
I'm turned around. Give me a second. I'm kind of dizzy right now. When I come out of my neighborhood,
What's the name of your neighborhood?
we
Copper Creek.
Ash Creek.
Ash Creek.
So you make a right.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. You make a left. Don't go back towards the Beltway. You make a left, like
Yes.
going towards Veterans Memorial.
Go
Yes.
to the first light on the left.
We're on the left. By the Texaco. Dash Motorworks. The dealership is on the
Why
right.
am I still lost? Am I the Popeyes and
Oh, you way down.
too
You don't
far.
pass the
too
red.
far?
Come back.
Come back.
The first red light.
Okay, I'm with you now. That's a gas station,
Mm-hmm. Donut shop.
a food truck across the street.
He might be at
No.
You said you're in Ash Creek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's right there across
So you know
from
the
mine.
stripes. You know the stripes.
Okay, I'm with you now. Got you.
Make
all
a
right.
left out
Okay.
of your neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I probably passed you about
You
100
did
times.
all the time.
You see that party bus out there too?
Stop
I have it
in.
Uh,
out there every day.
We
Okay.
love visitors. Stop in.
We moved now. We're further down, closer to 45 now. But all right, I know exactly where you are now.
Okay.
Hey,
all-
Gayla, you in Piedmont?
All the information is on the screen, y'all. We're this is the
Okay, Gayla.
Let's Talk Coverage Over Cocktail show, and host Joyce is on the left.
Hi, everybody.
Host Kimberly is on the right,
Hey, how y'all doing?
and Priority Funeral Experience is in the middle.
Woo woo!
You can find
Yes.
them at 12025 Barrel North, Houston, Texas 77066. Their number's on the screen and their website is on the screen. I'm pretty sure their website is a hyperlink. You can click on it and find out more information. Let's get back to the show. This is Let's Talk Coverage Over Cocktails. You can catch this show every Friday night from 8:30 to 10:30, and you can go by the information that's on the screen right now. Make sure you put your wine and your favorite adult beverage in the freezer early Friday, so by the time this show comes on, you can toast with these ladies something like this.
Like, let's talk coverage over cocktails.
Let's talk coverage of a cocktail. Woo! So we want to have those uncomfortable conversations where we're getting our business in order. There's a lot of times we don't get our business in order because we're scared to have those uncomfortable conversations. So what we're doing is we're wanting to make coverage contagious. We want to start in the communities and go from home to home, making sure that everybody is properly covered so that when tragedy does happen,
And that's
or when a life change happens, that you are properly covered, you know what your options are, and you already have something in place to protect yourself as well as your loved ones. And that's what we're talking about. And I also want to put this out there as well. I've noticed anytime you're an entrepreneur, you can't just have one entrepreneur stream of income. You always end up with multiple.
absolutely.
The Priority Funeral Home Experience, they have a funeral home service. They also have a mortuary pickup service. And they also have now a bus service, a party bus, where you can call and rent a party bus, separate from the funeral. And something else.
Yes, Mr. Pryor, we acquired chemicals now. So, so we make embalming chemicals. And so that falls in line with the pickup service. So of course, that's not for the public, but that's for
It's not for your finger, not for fingernails growing anymore like we did in high school.
You don't want to use that.
Back in the day,
Now that I know what I
It
know,
won't
no, I
move.
don't know fluid.
yeah, back in the day, you
Yeah,
remember what
I tried.
yeah, I tried it too.
Burn.
Cheers, Gayla.
I can't believe y'all went there. I was over here biting my tongue. I can't believe y'all.
Yeah, we did. We tried it.
You burned it up.
I
too.
never did try that one.
I I never did tell my mom because I know that was her ass. She had heard, don't be messing with that stuff. Baby.
I was always an athlete, and I was scared of that kind of stuff. But I had
You're a good
friends.
man. It's smart. Stay scared of it.
I had friends, and yeah, I'm gonna tell you what scared me from drugs.
What?
The 2 eggs in the frying pan.
Oh, this is your brain.
Oh, yeah, that commercial. Yeah.
And my dad, this is what my dad did to me. I'm between 5 and 10 years old, and I'm running up to the screen, and I'm like, Dad, is this true? And he's like, yeah. Come, let me show you what it really does in the kitchen. So he'd take me and he'd put me on a step ladder so I could see on top of the stove top, and he would burn them on purpose. So
Good man.
So he would be like, okay, if you keep on doing them over and over and over again, you see how I keep flipping the egg, it's burning on each side, it's burning, and he would burn it to a crisp.
Wow.
And then show me a completely burnt egg and say, this is what happens when you do it continuously. And I'd be like, wow. So now as an adult, you know,
that was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
He scared me for life.
That's good.
He scared me for life.
Good.
So yeah, but I was
That's a good
Now,
number to start out with kids
yeah.
on this.
before
Yeah.
before I got serious, I was about to say, make sure you put a disclaimer up here because these youngsters will be calling you asking for some of that.
No, they ain't gonna have it.
Yeah, no, that's why I said it's for the funeral industry only, not for the public.
All right.
Oh, it's not gonna happen. Homie, don't play that.
Awesome.
Mm-mm.
Awesome.
They hope we don't play that.
Oh, we don't play that.
And don't even ask. I look at them, they know.
So let's touch again on beneficiaries. One of the things that you stated was make sure the beneficiary that you have is over the age of 18, because if they're not over the age of 18, then the funds from the policy will go into a trust fund until they turn 18.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of the other things that was said was check once a year to make sure there is a beneficiary on your policy, or if the beneficiary that you do have on the policy has passed away, that you have changed with somebody else. You put somebody else on there. And in a lot of cases, especially in the life insurance industry, we also ask for a contingent.
Yep.
Meaning if you have a person 1 and a person 2, if person 1 passes away and they pass away right before you do or pass away when you do, there's a contingent on there, meaning there's another person listed on the policy that is entitled to those benefits. So there still won't be an issue with where the benefits go in case of your passing away. What is something else we need to know about beneficiaries?
You know, my thing is I always say that if you're a single parent and you're separated from your spouse, make sure you got insurance on it.
Yeah.
Because if you got kids for that person and something happens, you need to still be able to take care of those children. So I always say, if you got an ex out there, and if I known better like I did, because mine asked me at the time, I'm like, get off my phone. If I known better then, I would have did what he asked me to do, and I did not, because I thought you just kind of communicate. But I'll say this, if you got children for someone and you're not with them and you guys can get together and collaborate, get that policy. Because get that policy, because anything can happen at any day and any time. So you need to be prepared.
And I want to chime off of that. That is so important. A lot of these guys don't work. And you ladies have these kids for these. If they pass away, then you're not going to get it Social Security, because if you don't put in nothing, you don't get nothing.
That's right.
And then that kid needs to be protected.
That's
Not about it's not about you, it's about the kid.
Absolutely.
So if you know if you got a boyfriend or a girlfriend that's not doing what they need to do, get some 6 figures. And you need to do it, because at the end of the day, you're going to be holding the bag just like you're holding the baby.
Right. Don't wait until they get older, because once you get a certain age, that insurance is going to be more expensive. So if you're now in your 20s or 25, you got 2 or 3 kids, try and get a policy now.
Well, I'm going to say all the mamas that got those kids by those men, they need to do it.
Absolutely.
Quit playing around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, whether you like it or not.
That's right.
Better believe it.
On child support, but also Put a life insurance.
Put a
Put
life
life
insurance
insurance on
policy
it.
on it.
Yeah.
In that order.
Now, whether
In
they
that
pay it or
order.
not, that's on them. But
Yeah, they
Uncle
need
Sam and the
that.
government will handle it.
Yeah.
Because see, if you don't take care of his kids, he's not gonna take care of you, and he's not gonna take care of his business.
That's right.
If you got a
At
business
all.
partners like that, he's not
That's
gonna do it.
another good one, Miss
Absolutely.
Cat. Oh, that's a great one. Thank you so once again, Miss Cat Theus, another insurance agent. She is reminding that if you borrow from your whole life policy,
Come on, Miss Cat.
tell somebody.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
another
goodness.
thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Any type. Sometimes we get people. Back in the day, they had these like group policies with a whole family. Like they've been having it since the 70s.
Yes.
And they only had probably about 3,000 or 5,000 on all the family members.
That was
And they
great
go
back
borrow
then.
for.
And they've been paying it for 30, 40 years. And it's just 3,000, 5,000, It's
Jesus.
usually no more than 5,000, those group policies.
Right.
But that's the thing, we see a lot of people who borrow
Borrow from those policies.
from those policies. So here they thought they had 5,000, they done nibbled on it so long
Yeah.
over the last couple of years,
Right.
it might just be 2,000 on that. Because what they're gonna do is they take their money out the top that you borrow,
Right.
and if you're
Wow.
late on a premium, if you owe a premium or something,
Yeah.
That comes
Some
out
that
down
there.
there
comes off
too.
the
That's
top as
right.
well.
Sure
So that was
does.
a good
That's
point,
right.
Miss Cat is.
Thank you, Miss Cat. You are
Yes.
absolutely
Yes.
right.
Tell somebody if
You are
y'all are
absolutely right.
taking borrowed money from those whole life policies.
That's right.
Right. Right.
I wanna-
Absolutely.
Right.
I want to chime in right quick, y'all, because I was a bad kid growing up. So I want to speak to the ones who are living foul.
Okay.
If you're living foul right now, get a life insurance policy on. Baby mamas, dads, moms. Get a policy on the person that's living foul right now. I know y'all already mentioned it earlier,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna reiterate it now.
Absolutely.
Because if I were to go back, I almost didn't make it.
Mhm.
I believe Mr. Pryor mentioned it earlier. If someone they're living foul and they don't make it, you're not gonna make it. You're gonna have to pay for that service. You're gonna have to pay for this. You're gonna have to pay for that.
Right.
And it doesn't have to come to that if you're thinking ahead of time.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I believe Kim said also, if you wait until that person that's living foul gets incarcerated, it's too late.
It's
Too late.
You can't file then. You have to get a policy ahead
Yeah.
of time.
Insurance while they out on bail.
Wow, get it. She ain't no good.
Get them while they out on bail.
Yes. Once they go in, they belong to the state.
Bail them out of jail and get the policy then.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Once they're incarcerated, it's too late.
Mhm.
That's
It's too
right.
late. Get it while they're living foul. Tell them, hey, I'm doing this, or do they have to tell them at all? Do they
They
have to-
should.
You should.
They
Yeah.
should.
You should tell them.
Tell
them.
Tell them, hey, you're living foul,
Because
bro.
any
What's
information
this?
that's left out can come back and insurance can
Yes.
void it.
They can tell them in
They
what?
can void it.
Oh,
if
the
they
person
find
that's
out.
living foul.
No,
Finds
you
out.
saying if they are, you're
No,
talking
they
about,
didn't know.
you're
The
talking
carrier.
about the individual.
The individual.
Yeah, if I'm saying
You gotta
if
tell them.
brother or sister or mom or dad says, hey, Kimberly's living foul out here,
Mhm.
we're gonna get a life insurance policy. Do I have to tell Kimberly that I
Yeah.
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 She's an adult.
You gotta get her to
Yeah.
sign, stick the
I
thing,
have to get
whatever
her
you
to
do.
sign. I have to get her to
You ain't gotta
sign.
tell her how much, but you.
Because now, if there's medical issues and they've been to the doctor X number of times for certain issues,
You don't know.
it's gonna come up in our MIB in our medical database anyways.
Right.
So the company is gonna know
Exactly
what's going on. Then they're gonna contact the individual to ask them questions or ask them to provide certain paperwork. And if they lie, and I had this happen to one of my clients, and I didn't know because I answered, basically what he told me
Mhm.
in the policy, and come back to find out they denied him based upon the fact of untruths because he had applied previously from the same company. And I'm like, have you applied to this company before? No. And I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, and I call him up, I'm like, well, yeah, I did. I'm like, boy, he was a relative of
And
mine.
if you got them insured, keep it.
Yes.
Right.
If you got an ex insured, keep it.
Absolutely.
Keep it.
It's that important.
Mm-hmm.
It is that.
Just change it to friend.
Change it to friend. Oh, that's a good one. That's some good information there. Because Texas ain't gonna play.
Oh no.
No, not at all.
I don't know how
Not
these
at
other
all.
states are, but that's good information to know. So I bet a lot of y'all gonna be changing y'all beneficiary status tomorrow.
Well, if
Yeah.
you don't, it's your
Monday.
fault. We done told you.
I can't
You got the
wait to,
information read firsthand.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to talk to my mom. I hope she doesn't get a switch for me and
They will.
and with me. But she's going through something similar to this. My dad passed away, if y'all can see the flyer over there in the window.
Yes.
Passed away last year, and she's going through HE double hockey sticks right now because he took care of everything while he was living, and now he's gone, and she doesn't know where bank accounts are. She doesn't know where the bills were getting paid from.
You've seen that a lot.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Well, let me say
You've seen
this.
that a lot.
Forgive dad. Forgive mom. You know, they came along during that time that they had to do that.
Right.
But we don't have to. And that's why Kim was saying my wife was saying kids need to step up when something like this happens
Yeah.
and get in hands deep
Yeah.
and figure things out and help mom get things on track and make sure we don't
Yes.
transfer that over
Yes, sir.
to our
Our
family.
families.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, it has to stop somewhere.
Break that
You know,
generational
my mom,
curse.
my dad died, 14 years ago. I still don't know nothing. And I got a brother that's an attorney. You know what I'm saying? But I know my dad took care of the business part for mom being left behind, and he took care of his part. We didn't have to do anything.
You didn't have to do nothing.
Right. And I know mom business is straight as far as the burial side. Other than anything else, I don't know. But I always have this theory. Mama may have, Papa may have. God bless the child that got his own.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Mhm.
So that's
That's
what I
right.
live by.
Yes, sir.
But just in case something happened to mom and it some far reason somebody jip her out of everything, I can take care of it.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Because that's my mom.
All right.
Right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I
Exactly.
encourage all the kids to be prepared
Mhm.
just
Gotta
in
be
case.
prepared.
And I wasn't.
Just be
But you know
but
what?
I
I
wasn't.
think a lot of the older generation too are secretive.
but he had to be at
Very
that
much
time.
They're very secretive.
Very much so.
Sometimes it's
To a fault.
they don't want to discuss it. What you need to know about it.
That's right.
You know? And that's when I say, okay, well, go ahead and take preparation into your own hands.
And
That's
a lot.
when you make sure for yourself
Right.
Yeah.
and give yourself peace of mind.
Right.
Well, if you can't, then I will.
And, you know, we have that older generation also. When you start talking to them about getting insurance on them, they think you're going
You
to
gonna
try and
kill
kill them.
Yeah.
So that was one of the other things why they kept a lot of things secretive
Mhm.
about whether they had a policy or not, or what their business was, because they had these grandkids that probably was a little on the wild side, or their own kids. Well, I can't tell them this, I can't tell them that. So they went to their graves with a lot of secrets that nobody knew. So you're digging, trying to find all this information when something, you know, devastating happens. You're trying to figure this stuff out, you know. And even with myself, my kids don't all of them know everything, but there's one that know everything.
You
Yeah, you
know,
got to do
one.
that. You got to do
I
that.
got that one.
Yeah.
All of us got
I got
that
that
one.
one, and then I got that 1.5,
Yeah.
and then I got that one. I don't know, you know. So you know your children, because
That's right.
one thing my mama always said when we were growing up, she know what each one of us was capable of doing or saying. Because somebody can come and say, "But this one said this." She's like, the girls looked a lot alike. She's like, "No, it wasn't that. It was me probably, because I had a mouth, you know." And she's like, "Girl, your mouth gonna get you killed." That's how my mentality was, because I was like always trying to explain myself. But they kept a lot of secrets from us. And now, as I've, even myself and my own family, as I've gotten older, I found out some stuff that I'm like, what? Really? Wow. You know, it's unbelievable. But again, based upon how they were brought up from way back in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s, thinking that not letting the kids or family members know what they had, because their thing was, if I tell them I got a $10,000 policy, they're going to probably try and kill me.
Mhm.
You know,
They
and
believe
I
that.
actually heard that come out of some of the elders' mouth.
Yeah, they believe that.
They believe
They
that.
believe that.
And see my parents, my and this is on piggybacking off of what Joyce said about you have one. My sister is that one because I was Thug Thistle
Mhm.
I applaud you for being real,
So-
man. You real. Yeah, you real, man.
Real
I love
talk.
it. Yeah.
So they did. So I love you, son, but I don't know who you're talking to at night, and they can come and kill
Sure.
me. You know, that was my dad. He told me that out of his mouth.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know who you're dealing with. I don't even want you bringing your friends over here. As a matter of fact,
Right.
and I wasn't gang related or any of that. He just didn't want any of that mentality
Amen. He's good.
coming
man.
around. So I had to honor that. So my sister's the one that knows everything now, and she still doesn't know everything in relation to what you're saying. A lot of secrets.
Right.
So now mom's in the dark. You know, she's in the dark, and we're trying to dig her out of it. Matter of fact, I need to get over there before the weekend's over with to try to figure some things out.
Keep working with it.
Because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. It's a long story, but
Keep working with it, though. Don't give up.
We have to get that in order, and because Thug Thizzle is gone.
Amen.
Yeah.
You
Amen.
know, he's been gone a good 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's so funny you say that, Malcolm, because I had a friend of mine, a guy I dated from high school. He called today. He's moving back home because he was talking about his mother had gotten older, and he's now living in Houston, but he's leaving Houston today, going back to Conroe, because he said his mother had gotten older, and the younger kids, grandkids, and everything she had a son to pass away, and I guess she had a policy on him, got paid very well. They just ran through the money, and the mom's like in her late 80s. So she doesn't know. They're just running through her money. He's like, I'm having to get back to how I was growing up in my younger years. You're gonna take care of my mom to make sure that the kids, his nieces and nephews, have respect for his mother. And I said, well, I can admire you for that, giving up your life down here to go back home to make sure your mom is okay in her last years of her life. But it boils down to letting them know what you have, and they just ran through her funds already.
Yeah, that's sad. I hate to hear situations like
Yeah.
that. But I do want to go back and piggyback because you mentioned about digging and looking through. If I tell you how many people that we sit down with that has to go through those same actions because they don't know nothing.
Right.
They're tearing up the house. They're looking for stuff.
Yeah.
They don't know from what insurance company, and certainly they don't even know what bank they were banking in.
No.
So let somebody know that too.
Yes.
That's so important to let people know where your important papers are located. That's extremely
that's another
important.
problem.
And if you're married, you make sure your wife knows.
Yeah,
Okay?
spouses,
Each other.
That's true.
You gotta do. There's no need to be married to if you don't trust her.
Right.
All right.
You know
Say
what
that
I'm
one
saying?
more time.
There's no need to be married to if you don't trust her.
Okay.
It's
You
like
know,
my husband and I,
and-
we know everything. You know what I'm saying? He's not the father of my children, but my kids are like his kids. So when we got together, I'm like, okay, we know everything from passwords to whatever.
Yeah,
because my thing was, what if something were to happen to me? Where would you start? You wouldn't know what to do. What if something happens to you? I wouldn't know where to start or look or to do this or do that. So we know each other's stuff. So I'm like you said, we're just being married.
Please do.
It just made me think. So now y'all know we got the iPhones, right?
Right.
And every now and then we have people. Can you put their fingerprint or can you get their eye?
I got a good one. I got a good one.
People are trying to. That's why people are storing information.
Right.
It's in the phone. So
You
we
gotta
don't
have
have
an eye to open it up.
people are wanting to take the phone back there and put their
Oh my
fingerprint.
God. Oh my God. My nephew passed away at 27, had a heart attack, right? He had an iPhone. My sister goes to the funeral home with the phone trying to get them to do a fingerprint. It's worn down. I mean, what do you call it? The skin has died or whatever. So they couldn't do anything.
Because it's not moist.
And I'm like,
Oh, they want us to open the eyes.
Albert is a good one. And it's so weird because my husband, we just got back from Nevada on Tuesday, my husband and I, right? He lost his phone. So just the other day, I went to do something, his phone rang, and it had the facial recognition on. I'm like, why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you said, because I need to remind him, why would you put a facial recognition on it? That makes no sense to me.
Make it easy.
Well,
Convenient.
well, my wife got all of my
I got that on mine.
passwords.
But that was-
I
that
lay
was
my
a work
phone down,
phone.
whatever.
Sharon Haley, Miss Cat, on it again. She's just pointing out to make sure that the insurance is in a file. I like that information.
That's
she also
right,
said
yes.
Insurance is the best tool for wealth building and legacy. I have to touch on that too, Miss Cat is. In our culture, a lot of times people do not have wealth to pass on generational, right?
Right.
This person didn't have, like the Hiltons or the Rockefellers, know. We got people out there like that, or Winfrey money, all your NFL and NBA. Yes. But the wealth, some people are not fortunate enough to come from money or to come from wealth. But as Miss Cat reminded us today, it is a good tool to leave wealth and build a legacy for those that you're leaving behind.
That's true.
I think about that little one out there. When I'm gone, I want him to be okay. I want him to be better than okay.
Yes,
I know that. I want to give him my hand up.
Yeah.
So I can't help but thinking about leaving something behind him, leaving something behind for him.
Yes.
Right.
I know even with my husband and I, you gotta have those hard talks, okay? And if something happened to us, what's the game plan?
Right.
We got a young one.
Right.
What
if something happened to both you guys?
What if something happened to both of us? We do a lot of traveling together, and so we prepare for this. A lot of times when we get ready to go on these long trips, okay, we gotta leave something just in case. Who we gonna leave it to? Or who we gonna trust to do the right thing and not just be along for the ride? It don't always go over well because he got his and I got mine, and then but I gotta say, but it's important that we are having that conversation. We are having like an emergency plan in place. Yeah, and I have to admit that's something we have to fine tune. We kind of leave something behind just in case, but we need to also put the legal part behind it.
Right.
And another thing I want to say is that, as Ms. Cat talked about, it is possible to leave wealth, but what I've been doing with our son is teaching wealth.
There you go.
Okay.
Hello.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
You can
wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Elijah, go get these guys. And I want you to ask him a question when he comes in. Ask him how much of a dollar should he spend and what he should do with it. Okay. When he comes in, so it ain't been whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But
pre-rehearsed.
We can teach our kids. Like I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Okay?
Financial literacy.
My dad. One thing my mom and dad did for us was everybody had a savings account.
Okay.
Everybody had a savings account, and everybody had to work. And so when I left home, my dad, gave me some good advice that I didn't realize how good it was. He said, "Son, keep enough money in the bank for next month's rent, bills, and do that for 90 days. Then you can start splurging and having a good time." And then he made me go see a lawyer, a banker, and a doctor. I said, "Dad, what am I gonna go see a doctor for? You moving away from home, boy. You need, in case you get sick, you got to go to. If he don't know you, you're not gonna be able to see him. Okay. Well, I'm gonna see a lawyer. Well, if you pay him, he gonna see you. You get in trouble, somebody can call you and come get you. But if you don't already paid him to see him, he gonna come see you. Figure you got some money. And the other thing is a banker. If you need to borrow some money, he know you. First year I was gone, I ended up with tuberculosis. And one other thing he told me to do was get a bus ticket home. I used that bus ticket to get home. I went to see that doctor. They started giving me my medicine. I was so ill. And the banker, when I was in the hospital, UT at Tyler, I called him and he kept money in my bank account till I can get back.
Wow.
So these are the things we can teach. But ask him that question. Elijah's here. You on live, EJ? Go ahead and ask him. Ask him that question.
About the dollar?
Yes, sir.
If I gave you $1, how much are you going to spend?
If I have $1, you should never spend more than 70% of $1.
Why? It's okay. That's okay. Take your time.
30% is for saving. The other 30% is for, no, the 10% is for investing. And then I forgot the.
So 70% is for what you're not gonna spend, 10% is for savings, 10% is for investing, and then the other 10%
For charity.
For charity, donation.
God, whatever you want to do.
Give your tithes and offering donation.
Got it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's awesome,
You
EJ.
need a refresher.
It's you know,
see, no,
my
So
he
what?
knows he get $1. He can only spend 70 of it.
Yeah.
See,
That's awesome.
see, Thug Thistle wouldn't listen to none of that.
It's funny because my
I wouldn't listen
son
to none of
doesn't.
that.
That's awesome.
He
So
doesn't.
you know, you got to put it in them now while they're
That's
young.
right. That's
So
right.
when they get old, they want to part because right now the world teach them to spend.
So Miss
That's
Cat,
right.
once again, Miss Cat is, thanks again, trust. That's what another thing we need to put in place is putting things in the trust.
Yes.
So a lot of people, that could be a whole nother conversation.
That's
Yeah.
a whole
Wheels,
nother conversation.
wheels and
Yeah.
trust.
Give me a
Yes.
call. I know how to do it. I got it.
Trust is like the safest way because wheels can be probated.
Right.
And a big headache.
Yes, and a big headache.
And a big
yes,
headache.
people can fight wheels. But a trust, yes, you're absolutely right.
And that's it. If,
But you got to set it up correctly.
correct me if I'm wrong, but that's one of the ways you can be your own bank. Is via trust.
Right.
Annuity.
Right.
Annuity.
The key thing is read
Yes.
Escapes
Read
probate,
every day.
Absolutely right.
Yes.
and
Trust
right.
escapes probate.
and follow the rules, and you'll
Thank
be
you
fine.
so much, Miss Cat.
Thank you, Miss Cat. Good information.
Very good
Yes.
information.
Good
Follow the rules.
information. We
Yes,
want
yes.
our community to have the knowledge.
Yeah.
What the word teaches us, our people perish from the lack of what?
Knowledge. It's in the book.
Knowledge. So we're here having some real conversations while we drink our wine, and we're having real conversations about real life.
Right.
So tonight on Let's Talk Coverage over cocktails, we have the Pryor family with Pryor funeral experience talking to us about coverage whenever you are making arrangements, funeral arrangements. We're also talking about how to invest our money, how to protect our money, how to teach our children, because we want to leave them the best, but then if you leave it to them, they need to know what to do with it. Wish I had somebody. Yeah, they got to know what to do with it, because if not, then you just left them a whole bunch of party money.
You know what? I remember when I got ready to go to college. I
Yeah.
prepared for it, right?
Right.
And when I got ready to get married, I
Right.
prepared for it a whole
Right.
year. You know, all this planning, all this big spending
Right,
for when?
right.
Get ready to go on vacation? We prepared for
We
it.
prepared for it. That's
I got
right.
ready to have a son. I prepared for it.
Right.
I didn't just go to the hospital and come back and didn't have nothing
Nothing.
for him.
Right.
We prepared for it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That one thing we know is coming.
Come
We
on.
know that the word has shared with us.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. It's death.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's right.
Prepare for it.
Prepare for it. It hits all ages, all denominations, all races,
All walks of life.
all walks of life. It don't discriminate.
That's
It
right.
does not.
The innocent and the bad.
Right.
It comes, right?
That's
And we
right.
prepare for everything. Why not prepare for this part?
That's right.
And we can leave something behind.
Right.
We're not
absolutely.
leaving a headache.
No.
We're
Or
not
a bill.
leaving a bill.
Come on. What we gonna
We're
leave?
gonna leave a wheel.
Ah,
Trust, Miss Cat.
A
That's
real
right.
or trust?
Yes, a wheel or trust.
Well, baby, leave me some money. I want you to save me money.
I have to say this.
Not Magic Mac.
I have to say, you know, everybody that we meet with, you know, and death comes, everybody, I don't care who it is, they're all hurt. They're all grieving.
That's right.
Yeah.
All can't, it's hard to express.
Right.
You know, you
Yeah.
have the people who got to stay busy. You got
Right.
the people that are boys shut down. People deal with it different ways.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But it is a difference when people who sit down and have something to work with, or they
Yes.
know where to get it, or they know it's there, versus someone to sit there and don't have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a total difference. I see they both grieving.
Yep,
They're both grieving, but it's a difference
it is.
in the grief. It really is. I see a little bit of more peace. This one, I see grief.
Because
Worry.
they don't have it.
I don't know what we're gonna do next month. You know, especially if they were the breadwinner.
Oh my goodness.
You know,
It's so funny because when we had to put my mom and my brother away, we had my mom and stuff, and of course, like you say, dealing with it, you're in shock. You know, you just put one family member away, and then you come back 2 weeks later and you do another family member. So it's so funny when you said that. I was thankful to God that I had the money, my sister and I, to put our family away. So when we came in, Miss Johnson was telling us how much it was costing. I was writing down everything. She said, "Joyce, you just writing down everything." I said, "I'm trying to figure out what this is gonna be. It's gonna be right. This is on my mom, right? Because I'm sitting up in here doing all this stuff, and right, I have a pad because I'm a note taker, right? Because I want to remember what you're seeing when I go to think about. So I said, okay. So my sisters and I got there. We did everything. So my younger sister and I put together to do everything. So I was like, how much is gonna be? She told us it wasn't cheap. And the tombstone and all that. I was like, oh Lord, this is a lot, you know. So we were fortunate enough to have the money. So we started giving Miss Johnson cash. And she looking at us, I'm like, we ain't no drug dealers. Then we came back, we had to do the same thing. I said, Miss Johnson, she's like, Joyce, just put the envelope, because I had to run to the bank. I said, let me just run to the bank. And she's like, okay. So I got back, she said, just give me the envelope. I said, no, ma'am, we're gonna count it. She said, I said, I'm not no drug dealer, because she's looking at me like, you got all this cash money, all that. But I was fortunate enough to have worked and prepared. You know, just had savings, not prepared for death, but I was prepared to take care of what was needed for both my loved ones. We were.
Well, kudos off to you.
Yeah. So, but you know, I got to point what you just said, piggyback off a little bit, because it sparked another thought. When a death occurs, it is one of the biggest expenses.
Yes.
That a person is faced with.
Because let me tell you how ignorant I was. My brother was heavyset, right? And she was talking to me about an extra large casket. And I'm like, what is she talking about? And you know, I'm like, she said, well, he gonna have to take the money for the headstone to do the extra large casket. And I'm like, well, don't he shrink? And I asked that question. And she gave me a little bit of,
No, he
you
don't
know,
shrink.
teaching about the arms and the elbows. And I'm sitting here like, damn. You know, in my mind, I'm thinking, Lord Jesus, because I'm getting more, again, like you said, it's expensive. And these are expenses you don't think about, that a size matters.
Yes.
A size matters. And
Yes.
she told me, she explained to me, because I'm writing down, I'm asking questions. And I'm like, this is just ignorance on my part. My sister's like, girl, you stupid. Because I'm asking these questions, you know, because I'm having to spend this money. And I want to know where my money is going. So again, it's a lot.
Well, let me
It's better
say
to be
this.
prepared.
Let me say this. It's a lot cheaper to bury you than to live.
Oh yes.
So
I want to live though, but
what I'm saying is, get a prearranged now. Pay for it now and then live. Get it out of the way. Get some insurance now.
Yes.
And get it out of the way. You won't have to. It's a lot cheaper.
People don't
I
know.
always tell people, those who are able to, get a pre-need. That will freeze your cost for your burial. Get a life insurance that you can leave something behind for your family. To live off of.
That's
Because
right.
when you remove, it's gonna hurt somebody.
Yes.
You know?
I know when my grandmother passed away, this was back in the early 2000s, she had a pre-need. And when we got to the funeral, no, it still wasn't paid all of what she needed. Because
she had something.
She had something to start with. It left us with a little bit to pay for, but which was not an issue, but it's still, still was. But it still was not enough to say it's going to cover everything. So again, we need to be more mindful of that as well. What are we getting? How do we want to be put away?
And I do want to point out to, once again, my phone done died. Everybody's phone done died. I do want to point out to also that the 2 year, even though if everybody run and get an insurance, yes. However, there's a 2 year waiting period, testable clause that it will not pay unless your policy is at least 2 years old. It has to be 2 years old, especially for a funeral home to take it as a form of payment. Not saying that the insurance company is not going to pay. However, it is just
too big a risk.
Yes, it's a risk, and it has to go through the contingency.
Contingency, that's right.
So that's
So
important.
tell your agent the truth the first time.
Please,
Right.
100%.
we stress that all the time. Just be upfront and honest with us
Then you'll know
about
So
because
we can
we're
get
going to be able to
information.
find you something. It may not be what you want, but with us knowing the truth about what your medical history is, what your background is, because they want to know how you're going to be able to pay for this policy is another thing. Just be upfront with us, you know, so we can find the best policy that we can for you that's going to best fit your, you know, what you can afford on a monthly base.
Listen, as we wrap this up, because we done ran over time a little bit, if you guys were to give us one important bit of advice when it comes to coverage, what would it be, Almika?
Get some. I mean, it's very important to have at least a peace of mind for your family. It prepares you. You don't leave, debt behind. So get some. Doesn't have to be a lot, but get something.
Right.
Chuck, what would you tell us? What would you tell our listening audience if you wanted to give them one good piece of advice, one great takeaway from tonight?
Have that talk. Have that talk, as we would say, have that talk of a lifetime with your family. Got to have a talk and be open and honest about everything. Have the talk.
Awesome. Joyce, any closing thoughts or remarks?
I'd just like to thank our guests for joining us tonight and
Thank y'all
being
for having
here
us.
and enlightening us on things that even I learned something tonight, to be honest with you. And thank the listening audience out there for joining us as well. And thank those that were tuning in with us and asking those wonderful questions, because like Kim said, is no question is a dumb question. So, because I tell you, because I was dumb to not know. And a lot of the questions that you guys asked and they were answered gave me knowledge. So I can certainly appreciate that. So, and thank you, Kim, for getting our guests for tonight. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Thank you. Listen to our listening audience. To Malcolm, thank you for another wonderful night. Thank you guys for joining us as we talk coverage over cocktails. Meet us next Friday, same bat time, same bat channel, where we're going to talk some more about coverage as we have cocktails. Get those questions lined up. Write them down during the week. You think of something during the week that you want to ask about something that we've already covered, ask us anyway so that we could go ahead and refresh everybody's memory or answer a question somebody had in their head that they didn't get answered tonight. We want to talk. We want to have those uncomfortable conversations so that we can all be on the same accord. And it's nothing like a balanced home to where we know where we're going as well as where we come from.
Absolutely.
So again, good night.
Good night.
And thank you for joining us once
Good night,
again.
everybody.
See you next week.
Get coverage, guys.
Get coverage. That's right.
I know we've already waved good night and everything, but I want Joyce and Kimberly to answer one more question.
What's that?
Your call to action before we close. We want people to get insurance.
Yes.
How do they contact? When do they contact? Things of that nature.
I
need to
tell
be answered.
people my phone is available 24/7 because I'm going to answer no matter what time of day or night. If you need to call me to ask me a coverage question or need to know anything about a policy, please feel free to call me at 281-814-7332. I like to say this, even if you don't call us to get a policy to ensure that you're covered or your loved one's covered, get a policy from someone on your loved ones, so that therefore that they won't have to worry about what their next move is going to be or what's going to happen to children that you guys may have together. So get those policies, guys.
Kim?
So my call to action is I stay ready to keep from getting ready. You need to have a question answered, give me a holler. So my number is up there, 903-724-8451. If I don't answer the phone, I'm probably on the line with somebody else, answering a question for somebody else. Feel free to text that number. That's also a cell phone number that you can actually text. Then we have three other one of our co-constituents that are their numbers is up there as well. Any one of us will be happy to help. We're here to help you guys. As Joyce said earlier, it is our mission before we get our commission to help you, to keep you informed, and to get you covered.
And let me say one thing: it's better to have coverage 5 years later than to not have it 5 minutes too late, guys.
Damn,
There you
that
go.
part. That part.
That part right there.
Thank y'all for tuning in tonight, everybody. This has been another edition of Let's Talk Coverage Over Cocktails on Real Talk 100 Radio. Tonight's guests were as follows: Priority Funeral Experience. They came in and they gave their insight on the importance of getting your business in order before your loved ones pass away. That is in reference to funeral expenses. That is in reference to life insurance policies, all working together in unison in some cases. In other cases, it's working separately. If you are watching the replay, please put hashtag replay in the comments and tell us that you were here. The Priority Funeral Experience information will be on the screen in just a second as soon as I track it down. They are located on the north side of Houston.
North side.
As Miss Pryor said so eloquently. That is their follow tag right there on Instagram and Facebook. Priority Funeral Experience. That is their logo on the screen. Their address is 12025 Bama North, Houston, Texas 77066. That's their phone number, and their website should be in a hyperlink in the comments. Y'all tap onto it and get more information. As Kimberly and Joyce has already said, make sure y'all give them a call if you need life insurance. Life insurance is important, and last but not least, we want to make life insurance contagious, just as it says on Kimberly and Joyce's t-shirts. If you look closely, stretch your shirts out there.
Go.
They want to make life insurance they want to make life insurance contagious, just like you make Jordans contagious.
Absolutely.
Life insurance should be more important, everybody. That's all we got tonight from the Let's Talk Coverage Over Cocktail show on Real Talk 100 Radio. Y'all keep it locked the rest of the night, though. We got a lot of music. We play a lot of music. We love music here. We love supporting small businesses and music artists. Y'all make sure you keep it locked by clicking the link in our bio on Facebook and jam all night. We play a lot of 90s and 2000s hip-hop and R&B hits. We play a lot of Southern soul for the old heads, as the youngsters call it. And we play a lot of underground and independent music artists. We're looking for the next Jay-Z, the next Beyonce, the next George Strait. We're looking for the next artist to blow. If you're an artist, holler at us. We're Real Talk 100 Radio, and this has been another edition of Let's Talk Coverage Over Cocktails. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.